Well, hello everyone. This is Chrystallynn, Cowgirl Astrologer. Thank you so much for watching my channel. And if you've been following my Ascendant series, I've been doing just my interpretation and through my experience in astrology of the Ascendant. Right now, I am getting ready to do Cancer. This is also called the rising sign. So if you're just new getting into astrology and you hear everybody asking you, what's your rising sign? What's your ascendant? And you're thinking, I have no idea. Well, that's not uncommon when you first get into astrology. But your rising sign is calculated by your time of birth. So you do need to have your time of birth, AM, PM, and your city and state. And what we're calculating is where the sun was rising from the east the moment you were born. And this is your outer persona, and it's often how people see you when they first meet you. And it's hard sometimes because we don't always think that's what we're projecting, but then people are responding to us in a different way that we maybe can't understand. And they're often responding to this part of us, this rising sign. So again, I mean, you could be a Scorpio with a Cancer rising. So, or even go say Capricorn with a Cancer rising. So you're going to take on this more intuitive, softer flavor about you, energy about you, than maybe that real ambitious, intense Capricorn. But if you had, this is just an example, the sun in Capricorn and your rising in Cancer, this would be an opposition. So you could struggle back and forth between, this is what I want, but this is how I feel. And so that is really, as we get into this ascendant here, we're talking about the Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. It represents the age group from 21 to 28. It is the fourth house in the zodiac. And it really represents security, our home, how we were raised, how we want to then raise our children, our family. How do we feel about that place? And if we don't feel secure there in our fourth house growing up, often we struggle throughout the rest of our lives. So we kind of always have to go back and address this fourth house. So Cancer is always addressing security issues and home issues. Being that it's ruled by the moon and it is a water sign, they're very intuitive, very psychic. In my experience, the Cancers that I know have this innate ability to know when people, or especially their animals, since I deal with a lot of animal people, when their animals are sick, something's wrong. Something's wrong with that person. Something's wrong with my animal. And we'll be like, oh my gosh, no, it's fine. You're overreacting. No, they're hurting, and they can feel it. And they get very nervous. And they get very anxious. If it's their children or their animals or somebody older, they're very protective that way. But if you are a Cancer rising or have the sun and moon in Cancer, you will have that very strong psychic ability. You will also pick up on the vibration of the whole room. So sometimes that can be hard when you go places because, you want to get out. The Cancer can be in the entertainment industry, in the medical industry, in political. They're very, very intelligent. You guys are very intelligent if you're watching. So let's get into the houses, and then I'll be able to continue on with some characteristics as we go. So if we look at the second house for the Cancer rising, it's ruled by the sun. It's ruled by Leo. So your second house is the things you value. It's ways that you can make money, daily money. And being that it's ruled by Leo, the sun, that can represent the father. That can represent, putting your heart and soul into the ways that you make money, into your daily ways. The second house can also be like memorabilia, history. The Cancer rising loves to bring history, and when I talk about it being the father, know their heritage, know their genealogy. They like history, and they have amazing memories, like photographic memories. So you guys will probably attest, if you've got that Cancer rising, that if you have an experience and you feel it in your heart, you are never going to forget that feeling. You can recall that. So that can be heavy, because you can recall those emotions like that with the feelings, you know, and sometimes you may not want to do that. So it can be very emotional experiences. But that is one thing, whatever you feel and you allow to imprint on your heart, it's going to be very powerful there. The third house, which represents siblings and cousins and community and short distant travel, is ruled by Virgo. So they can be very calculated there. They can be watching there. They like to have friendships that have a purpose. You know, what are you going to do for me? You know, they've got that ability. And a lot of times you'll see them have like really close, almost sister cousins or sister friends that they grow up with, that are almost like their twin. And they're very close a lot of times to their family, but they do take on that kind of perfectionistic role. And, you know, they have that perfectionistic side about them. So they can kind of take on that mother role, father role. Fourth house, Libra. So this is why it's so critical for the Cancer rising to have security in the fourth house of home, because they need balance there. That's where they find their balance. That's where they find their security. And they love to have everything beautiful, candles, they decorate, they're very artistic. But, you know, when you come into the home, it's about sanctuary. It's about beauty. And it's funny, because if you ever have a Cancer rising mother, even father, they'll be the chef, they'll be the cook, and they're just catering, and they love it. And they'd love to be in that environment. That's where they find their most joy. Now, when we get into the fifth house, we're going to get into ruled by Pluto here. We've got Mars, Pluto with Scorpio. Now, the fifth house is entertainment, love, children, romance, all of those things that we hold dear to our heart. And here we've got Scorpio. This is where you see the Cancer rising mother or father extremely protective over their children, extremely protective over their loved ones. Because remember that the fifth house, their family and home, is part of that fourth house security. And I'm telling you right now, they are incredibly, incredibly protective when it comes to their family. A lot of times you'll see too, because we've got this psychic ability, and why they also make very good doctors. We've got that Scorpio energy, that Mars energy that can go in and be very good surgeons. But they can get a fear or even a paranoia over medical issues with their children or with themselves. And sometimes you'll see, I guess you would call it like a hypochondriac, or someone that's, you know, going to the doctor every little whim. They're so afraid of losing control there. So, and because they do pick up on instincts, like, you know, if their child doesn't feel good, the parent's going to feel that more amplified. So they have a fear of losing control there. So they do kind of control the whole family scenario. Okay. Sixth house, Sagittarius. A lot of times they travel. They love foreign people. That's why they make excellent chefs. And cooking like all kinds of foreign foods. They're excellent at that kind of stuff. Running, you know, catering services, obviously in the political world, obviously in the entertainment world. We've got seventh house, Capricorn. Here's where they start really wanting that more serious partner. They're looking for somebody that's going to be security. They've got to have that financial security. And sometimes they have a hard time being ruled by the moon, keeping that 9-to-5 perfect job. They like a lot of change with Jupiter in the sixth house. So they need a partner that brings them stability. And a lot of times you'll see the Cancer getting married later in life, like after their first Saturn. There's something about that happens to them when they move into that second half of their life where they mature and they settle. A lot of times in that 21 to 28 year period, they go through such turbulence trying to find themselves, trying to figure out who they are in the world that they're in. And even though they can be very determined and even competitive, they'll keep right in there with everybody. But inside, emotionally, they can be still very immature, still very raw. And once they move into a relationship, a lot of times they do well. Women do well with older men, and men often do well with younger women, or vice versa. There's something about that as well. So if you're a Cancer rising, you know, Capricorn can represent that older figure that's wise, that you just, you know, you need that. So there you go on that. 8th house Aquarius, this is pretty stable here because it's ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Saturn kind of stabilizes the 8th house of money and finances. So you can have some sudden changes, but they're kind of slow and there's some stability there. Once you get on track, the Cancer risings, that's the crab, and he's just very calculated. He's checking things out, and he knows when to hide behind the rock. He knows when to come out. You know, he just knows how to work with the waves and the ocean and all the currents and protect himself. So he's a smart little guy. 9th house Pisces, this is where you get that very strong spiritual ability to be a healer. In your place of working, education. This can also be a place, because it can represent father as well, where you deal with possibly parents or father that dealt with addiction. Addiction will not be foreign to you. The Cancer rising often deals with mother issues. And so with 9th house Pisces, it can be that place where you're longing, you know, to figure out who you are and having to deal with a past of addiction, whether yourself or taking care of a mother, taking care of a father, just deception in the area of really learning and expanding yourself. So it takes you guys a long time to come out of your shell and open up to the world and kind of let information in, because you're just not ever quite sure, you know, what's going on there. So, and I haven't talked as much about the mother. I'm trying to make these kind of reasonably timed for you guys and give you a little bit of taste. But for the Cancer rising, and this kind of goes in the characteristics, with being ruled by the moon, there often is a mother theme that plays out. And it depends on where the moon is in your chart and some other aspects. So I'd have to look at your whole chart to get a real feel. But because you are a healer, there tends to be working out this feeling of security with a mother, taking care of a mother, or maybe having just a really dynamic mother that was just, you know, smothering to you. It seems to be this kind of caretaking theme. It can play out in a lot of different ways, but, you know, that's part of your journey in learning how to be a healer. You know, often the thing that we want to be, and for the Cancer rising, being a parent, being a family, having children is the most important thing to you, that procreation. And I talk to a lot of Cancer rising women, and they say, you know what, am I crazy? Like, I don't want to go out in the work world. I want to get married and have children, be a stay-at-home mom. And that sounds like the greatest thing to me. You also have a lot of men that are Cancer rising or Cancers that, you know, are awesome stay-home dads and like totally run the whole ship while the mom works. And you know, it's not uncommon where you'll see the Cancer rising dad up cooking breakfast or cooking dinner, or they're just very nurturing. So if you do get in the relationship with the Cancer rising, you're going to find that you have somebody that knows what you need and loves to take care of you. And it can be, you know, very secure feeling. But remember, they need that too. And often they're so busy caretaking that they don't realize how much they need that as well. And Here we've got, I'll just say a few more brief things on the houses. 10th house, Aries. This is where you do not want to underestimate the Cancer rising. Very competitive. This is where they do well in the medical field, entertainment, you know, political arena. If they get out there and what they're passionate about, they're really good and they will rise to the top. There is a strong leadership quality there. 11th house, Taurus. This is where you've got Venus, which is a very feminine energy. You've got your friends and circles. And so you have a lot of women around the Cancer rising, which is why they heal and are a big part of healing women. Even men that are Cancer risings, a lot of times people don't understand and they say, oh, you know, they're sensitive. Well, that's because they have a gift of knowing what women need. And if they know how to use that well, you know, they're a great catch. So they know how to make an awesome first impression. And you want to take a Cancer rising man home to dad and mom because they know how to make a great family kind of clean cut impression. So again, there's a sensitivity there because there is a connection to the feminine, to the women, to caretaking for women. And 12th house, Gemini. This is a hard place for this to be. It's your subconscious. It's your quiet time. And you've got Mercury there. Yeah, the mind's not so quiet when you're home alone. And that's why you need lots of time at home alone. Never be afraid if you are a water sign and you have those times of needing to be alone. You know, you know, a lot of times we get blamed for, you know, you're avoiding the world, or, you know, bailing out, and it can happen. That can happen, but that's if you're utilizing the ebb and flows of this. You will take time alone so you can balance your 4th house up here in Libra, and you can balance your mind. It's a busy mind, so you need that time to self-nurture and make sure you guys say what you need, because I think that's the hardest part, where a lot of Cancers live a life of feeling like they've lived a life of service and they're just so emotionally empty. And that's a real common theme, common thread. So, you know, make sure you allow other people to give to you as well. And be known that you have needs, and that appreciation will go a long way with you guys. All right, you guys. Well, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or would like to add to this, if you're a Cancer rising, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have an awesome day.